Hi, my name is Leo Crows. I just joined Keller Williams last month. I'm actually a finishing contractor by trade. Been doing that for about 15 years. So I just wanted to kind of jump into the real estate game, see how it goes, and it's been going good so far.
Awesome. That's great. Great. So you've got some contractor builder experience to bring to the table. So we've got any questions about those kinds of things for repair requests, we need
Just
to
call
know
me.
who to call. Cool. Pam?
Hello, I've been licensed since 2019 and struggling trying to get going while I work full time. So
Yes.
I just try to go to every class that I can and do the best I can to get going.
Awesome. Well, I hope we give you some inspiration today and in at least working with buyers and how to navigate some of these, this interesting market that we're in right now for our buyers. I call them my warriors because that's what they are. All right, Jack.
I started actively in January with Keller Williams. I've been doing a lot of classes. It's time to step up with some education to making money.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Dave?
My name is Dave. My background is advertising marketing as well. Work with small to medium businesses, and after COVID, I decided I wanted to try real estate, and here I am. So
Perfect.
I'm a newbie.
That's great. That's great. And Latasha?
Hi, I come from a correctional background. I always said once that was over for me, it would be real estate. So, and I joined Keller Williams in February, and I'm still learning a lot.
Sounds great. Well, you're in a wonderful place to learn a lot. It's one of the things that has impressed me about this company is the plethora of training opportunities that you can take advantage of, both here and on KW Connect. So I put in a good plug for that. It's rescued me from a lot of difficult situations and or information that I need. And Jennifer, right at the back.
Yes, I'm posting our link on the Facebook page.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I've been an agent since 2018 and had a very successful 2 years, and then COVID happened, and I realized that my lead generation was face-to-face, and we were not face-to-face. And so I joined Keller Williams in July and have just really started to grow my business through different lead gen sources. I have multiple lead gen sources now, and that is creating a great end of 2021 and beginning of 2022.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I enjoy doing this a lot. So you're filling my bucket. Hopefully I'll be able to fill yours somewhat. So let's see. I am going to share the slides for you all. I'm sorry I didn't get to it earlier. Let's see how I can do that. You know what? Can you ask Taylor if she can put it in the notes, because I did send her the PDFs of both the presentation and a CMA. If you could ask her to do that. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead though and share my screen with the presentation. Okay. I'm going to start with, can everybody see that? Folks on Zoom, can you see that?
No.
Okay, let me try it again. You see it now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So I am going to view and present. And in a minute, Taylor will put these notes in the chat section. But for you folks that are here, I have printouts.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So. And if anybody has a question from the Zoom room, please just shout it out and we'll deal with it right at that moment. So this is the Buyer CMA workshop. And it's I'm presenting it, Wendy Lyman, but this is based upon a lot of different notes that I have, as well as Sharon taught a CMA class last year that I borrowed from, and then some other teachings of mega agents on KW Connect. So this is not all Wendy, this is Wendy gleaning from the wisdom of others at Keller Williams. So it just tells you what you can do if you just spend a little bit of time around this office and then also working on KW Connect. So first of all, just wanted to get on board, what is a comparative market analysis, or CMA? And this is for particularly buyers that we're going to be addressing today. Although the process is pretty similar, your presentation is probably going to be a little bit different. So CMA is a collection and interpretation of data from your market resources, primarily here, the Triangle MLS, another tool that we have on Paragon, which is called InfoSparks, and tax records. So you're going to be doing research in using those tools. It's a snapshot in time of the current inventory. And this is very important, and the historical data of closed homes, typically 6 months to a year. Although in this market, which closed homes and comps are we going to pay most attention to, do you think?
The higher sold homes.
The more
Last 30 days.
the more recent ones, because the market is shifting so much. I was working on a preliminary listing CMA for some clients that are relisting their home that they just bought in 2019. And they were a little disappointed because they've heard all the rap that's going on about what's happening in the market. Now they live out in between Smithfield and Clayton. So theirs is not turning as quickly, although it's still a healthy market. But what I told them was, since I looked at InfoSparks, and I'll show you this later, in the last 3 months in Johnston County, the prices have shifted 8.5% in just a quarter. So I told them, as we look into the summer, we're probably going to be looking at even a higher price at that point. So we need to continue to re-up everything. Hey, come on in. Here's, I'm Wendy, and here's the slide notes. So it's really important, as we talk about the CMA in today's world and today's market, to really focus and prioritize the more recent ones. Seasonality, when it used to be something you'd want to look a year back to see, well, are prices really going to be as high in April as they are in January? That was kind of more important, but now buyers are so desperate, we're not seeing that typical peak. We're seeing more interest right now, but we're also seeing it in December and January as homes are going as quickly and pricing out because the market inventory is so depleted. And then the other thing is, it's a market perspective versus an appraisal or a lending perspective. Now, what that means is, I don't know if you've been in the business long enough to hear the hockey puck or the Wayne Gretzky scenario, is that as an agent, what we're trying to do, just like a really great hockey player, is to play to where the puck is going, not where it is right now or where it's been. So we're really wanting to, whereas an appraiser tends to be more conservative and looks backward. So there's always going to be a disconnect. And in this market, it may be further than that. And that's why people are asking for the appraisal addendum, sellers are, to accompany offers, because they don't want to get into a situation where they're having to renegotiate with the buyer because they're getting multiple offers that are over asking, and even sometimes before the home comes officially on the market for showings, what we call sight unseen offers. So that's why they're wanting to take that out of the picture, that negotiation out of the picture, is because sometimes appraisals will lag the market right now, even more so. And any of you guys that have been around for a while, or those that have been in discussions, recently about this, if you want to jump on in and add to it, the more the merrier. Okay, so why do we perform a CMA? Well, first of all, we want to determine the range of the market price for a home. Now, we're again focused on buyers, but for sellers, of course, you're looking for the listing price that are going to attract buyers and bring in those offers to your client. For the buyer, though, we want to seek an offer price that is reasonable and within has a chance of being accepted. So for buyers, some of their key questions are going to be, will the offer appraise for the loan? And if it doesn't, do I have a backup plan? Do I have cash in the bank that I can make up the difference? And again, in this market, that is going to be a key information point that you're going to discuss with your clients ahead of time. Because we're seeing, anybody hear what we're seeing right now in homes going over asking, even if we're pricing aggressively? Yeah, 10, 20. I priced aggressively on a little place that up in Wake Forest that just closed. We had it on the market for $275. It went sight unseen with multiple offers, including a cash offer for $20,000 above asking. So, and 8,000 due diligence on it. So if the buyer walked away. So we're in certain markets, we're seeing extremely aggressive. I know in some other price ranges, we're even looking at 30, 40, 50,000 above $10,000, $20,000 of due diligence. So in this market, we really have to have that discussion with our buyer clients with respect to cash in the bank or some sort of resources to make up that difference in certain price ranges. I mean, even in the luxury market, I was talking with Ruby about a month ago, Ruby Henderson, and she was seeing the same thing in a home that was in the $700,000 range, 100,000 above asking, and 50,000 in due diligence. So it's a definitely discussion you want to inform your clients about. Will the offer price allow me to profit in a future sale? In other words, I don't mind paying more than asking right now, but what does the trajectory look like for the future? Am I in Wake Forest where the prices continue, or Cary or Apex, where prices will continue to go up, even if we maybe have a downturn in the market? But let's say we're looking in Sanford or Selma or Smithfield, those markets are beginning to get very active, but will that play out in a downturn because of the difference in the economy down there? And that's just something you have a discussion with them about. And how quickly is the pricing increasing over time? And I'm going to show you some tools in InfoSparks where you can look at some of that by zip code, by county, by neighborhood, if there's enough data, enough homes selling in those neighborhoods. So you, just like I said, I looked at February through May statistics in InfoSparks in Johnston County and was able to look at the median sales price or the average sales price and see how much had it appreciated just in 3 months. And we also have some graphs that you can get access in InfoSparks that'll show you the trajectory of those sales. And honestly, in January in Wake County, it just looked like, a ski slope, almost like a 45 to 60 degree angle. That's how fast it increased in that first quarter. Oh, I need to get my waiting room people in. Okay, got them all in there. Cool. Folks who just entered, you can find the slides in the chat section and just shout out if you have any questions. All right, so factors to consider when you're performing a CMA, all right? So first of all, one of the things we cannot change about a property is location, location, location. So, what are the factors about that location that make it desirable or undesirable? Is it backed up to a power, a power line? Is the commute relatively easy? Is it great transportation to downtown or significant that way? Is there a lot of retail in the area? And although we can't give an opinion of schools, we can tell our clients which schools that are resident for that particular home that they can look up themselves. And they can determine if it's in a preferred school district, or they may have their own preference. Market conditions. What are some of the things that we might think about with respect to market conditions? What are important to the pricing of a home? Remember I said high participation. I've got some Starbucks gift cards here. So at the end of
Like
the
knowing
class,
if it's a buyer or seller's market, if there's more demand or supply on the market.
Yep. Who was that?
Julianne.
Hi, Julianne. Just want to keep track.
Hey, I'll get my picture up here.
Okay, sounds good. Want to make sure that I know who's participating so we can award things at the end. Absolutely, the market conditions. And so I want to jump out of it right at this point and show you in Paragon some of the resources you can use to educate your clients about what's going on in the market. So if you log into Paragon, can you see Paragon on the screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So if you go to resources, and these two resources or tools are great for allowing you to get information about the market. Fast Stats actually give you a market sheet, the ones that Jeremy shows in the team meetings. That's where you can go to get Fast Stats, and you can also get an activity report for the entire MLS that's there. I'm going to focus though today mainly on InfoSparks, because it's a great way for you to educate yourself as to what's happening and also educate your clients, because it's data. And most people like data, even our people who we consider in the DISC profile as high Ds, they want to see what's going on. They just want to see it in a really short fashion. The people, and I'm going to talk about DISC a little bit. It's just something that I suggest that you become a student of. Not that we use it so much for coaching anymore, but it's a great marketing tool for you to use. And so if you don't know much about DISC, definitely look it up, and hopefully we'll be able to get somebody in here to teach it again. We just had somebody last quarter do it on CES. Her name's Cynthia Matheny, and she's great. So yeah, Jennifer's like.
I love the DISC, but I was going to see like what you may go into this. So my question would be like, how do you explain, like what do you look at here on InfoSparks and what do you translate to the client?
Sure. So one of the things I look at is I look at days on market. Like when we're evaluating and we get into the CMA, one of the things we want to look at is the speed of the market. That is how quickly things are going under contract. We can look at inventory on here, which has another way we can educate our clients. And you can actually pull, let me go back to Fast Stats. I will actually show you there. So let's say I want to just look at the entire Triangle region, but they have the reports for all the different counties and even areas within Wake County, like Wake Forest. So let's look at Johnston County, because my CMA is from there. I want to look at the most recent. So I click on View Report. Okay. You can tell I'm a D. It's like, okay. So here is Johnston County. Let me move this, so I can move you guys over. From April, they don't have the May results in yet. Usually those come about middle of the next month. So about middle of June, and they'll announce it on the homepage in Paragon that everything's been updated. And Jeremy does post this during the team meetings as well and has that for you. So if you look in Johnston County, if I'm educating a buyer that's looking there or a seller, I can see several things that I want to make sure I go with them on. So first of all, when you look at April, one of the key factors here that is impacting our market is the month supply of inventory. That is how quickly homes are going under contract. And basically, it is if we didn't add one more home to the MLS. Now, this isn't always counting, especially now, it's not counting new construction, but new construction is fairly slow as well right now because they're having trouble with, yes.
So I'm looking at the report, it automatically pulls up the prior year.
Yes. So it's showing you prior year in April to the current April and how these factors have changed. So if you look at last year, the month's supply of inventory, so if we never listed another home, it would take 2.3 months to sell out our store. Currently in April, it takes a half a month, 2 weeks, and we would be out of inventory. When I was talking to my potential list sellers last night, I did a quick check on their price range in Johnston County, the entire county. There was only one other home that was on the market in that price range, under $325,000 with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and anywhere from a half an acre to an acre, 2-car garage.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Franklin County had 4.
Yay. Yeah, exactly. So this really, when you're trying to explain this to your clients, it's not just this real estate agent who's just, trying to get them to list or to buy. You're really giving or pay tons of money out of their pocket. You're giving them the context of what they need to understand that we're in serious business right now, and you have to prepare yourself. So for some people, it may be, I can't afford to be in the market right now. I need to put some more money away. If anybody's under 400,000 in this market right now, they do need to have a significant amount of money that they can put down unless they do new construction. Some new construction are working it just like our resale sellers, where they're putting 5 homes on the market and it's highest and best. So this is a great tool to use to educate your clients as to the serious nature. And so they don't go into it with being just so discouraged. I have some clients that are very careful people, cash buyers, that are now wishing that they had taken my advice and bought a year and a half ago. But they wanted the perfect home. And so now what they're dealing with is being pretty much out of their market or having to take something a lot smaller than they want.
Didn't I just read that some builders for new construction are now trying to back out of the contracts either due to lack of materials or the cost escalating so much they can't meet the price that they gave?
I'm not sure about that. Have you heard that, Jennifer?
Well, what I've gotten is from a client that I'm working with is they have 3 options. So they could continue with the new price, which was $22,000 more, or they could, well, actually there's only 2 options. Or they could back out and they get their deposit back.
Wow.
So they have to accept it?
Either accept it or they can
Pay
back out.
$22,000 more or get their money back.
Yes.
But when I'm with that one client, I looked around and we couldn't find a house that they wanted in that price range for that price. So it really was the same for them to just stay at that $22,000 more.
Yeah.
If they're
And then-
capable, yeah.
What they're doing is every week, they cannot order their lumber package until the foundation is complete. So they order lumber packages on Tuesday. And then once they order the lumber package and they get their price, then they will give a price to the buyers to be able to lock in.
So that's why they're going more of the spec route than, because they've got the foundation in, they know what their costs are going to be relatively. Makes sense. If I were on their side. Yeah. Wow. So again, this is why it's so important to, have these discussions and become abreast of what's going on with this data, because we really, it's very discouraging for some people to go through this process and think they are in the market when they really aren't.
I want to build on Jennifer's question a little
Mhm.
bit. Now, see, I have a friend in Florida that's having a townhome built. They sign a contract, lock in the price. The concrete's, the foundation's laid. Can they still up the price because of the wood? Because they haven't really started building. They just stay made footers down and all that good
It
stuff.
depends on their contract, and an attorney would have to evaluate that because, and in this contract, it stated they could do that. So it depends on their contract.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could, at the next team meeting, might ask Jeremy if he could get maybe Chris Mann or Keisha to comment on what they're seeing. Because I'm sure that they're in, they've got closings that are on the books, even with new construction, or we could get somebody with one of the big builder like, Warren Alphen to comment on, or Gwynn and Edwards to comment on that, because that would be, how are most builder contracts written to allow that? I'm praying that my one lady who's closing in December isn't going to deal with that, because,
Did we
her.
not discuss that? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did we discuss that on one of the huddles or the Q and A's? Because I remember either reading something about it or we discussed it.
I don't remember.
I think it was posted, I read
I
it.
think it's posted, I think I saw it on the Facebook page or something, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, we've been
I
having a lot of
remember reading
training.
an article and they were saying that, or something like that, and some people were saying that the foundation was laid and everything, and the builders didn't even, warn them. They just got they sent them their contract, their
Wow.
deposit back and everything, because I think the price shot up like $70,000.
Wow.
And they didn't have a say in the matter.
Yeah. So what we probably need is somebody who's well-versed in those builder contracts. Do they all have it out like that? I mean, most of them, it's like we have up to 2 years to finish it. That's pretty standard. But I've never heard of them reneging, if they had an out clause for pricing and that sort of thing. So we might want to get one of our attorneys to help figure that out.
Well, that happened too before all of this happened. I had a buyer buying a Dan Ryan property who thought that the pool was going to be included, and then we found out 60 days from closing that the pool was not going to be included, and they couldn't do anything about it. So
Yeah, I know with amenities, it can be
pulled out.
Yeah, it could be pulled out, that they're not making representation of that. Unless you sign, like if they give the, the HOAs and they have you, that's why I make sure, and I think it's why the builders do it now, where they have everybody initial everything that's presented, all the design options, everything is in that closing package. So the amenity sheet is one that I always look for, because those promises are things that are in marketing materials and need to be witnessed.
And Wendy, you include that in your DocuSign envelope that you send to them, and you just attach an initial at the bottom of
Right.
it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I even do that for my resales too. If you have a septic permit, if you have, like my current listing has a home warranty that still, the builder's warranty that still had, so we included that in there and everybody signed off on it. So really, as much as you can, with respect to, everybody understanding what's included and that sort of thing, beyond just the personal property and the offer to purchase.
I know my old broker in charge made me get the comps that I presented initialed by the seller as well.
They have not asked for that, but
Yeah.
I've been seriously thinking about it, because what I do though is I send an email out with a link to the comps that I use to my clients, and I just have them say that they've received it in advance of our discussion of comps. So that way, at least we have that evidence that they received it. And, I would think at some point I might even include a reply saying, this is what we discussed, and here this is the offer we're going to make. Because, but I do take notes on an offer to purchase, and I do include those just as evidence in my paper file. So I think it's just getting more and more important for us to document, just like a consultant or a doctor would. So my daughter was having trouble with the mechanic today and about what they were told and I said, did they send you the contact notes? Because usually they'll do that, and they didn't. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you call them and ask for them, because, we need to know what they said and what they said at least. So, yeah. Cool. Any other question? Well, let's finish up with this. So when you look at, the other thing I look at in addition to in explaining to my clients is the days on market, because that shows how quickly things are going under contract. And actually, Johnston County doesn't look too ferocious. It's gone, but when we look at where it was last year and where it's gone now, it's 64% fewer days on market in Johnston County. And that's not just including Clayton. That's Smithfield, Selma, Points East. So I think if we looked at Clayton, it would be closer to what Wake County is. And I think that right now is around 3 days on market. So, and then of course, looking at the price change from last year to this year. That's another thing to be indicative of. And then this is the year to date. So where were we year to date last year? So new listings, our inventory is continuing to decrease over where we were last year at this time. And last year, remember, we were in COVID and we hadn't figured out how to do safe showings yet. So that inventory was already lower. It actually increased over the spring last year. So it improved in May as we figured out how to get people in homes for showing purposes. Closed sales is up 20% year to date. So again, we've got fewer homes, we have more homes closed, so our inventory is getting smaller and smaller. And that's just not here. I just was working with a friend who I referred to an agent in Arizona, and she was asking me, well, should I put new carpet in? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I was like, you need to get with a local agent, because if it's like here, just slap some lipstick on that pig and get it on the market, because people are buying it with the idea that they may need to renovate. And also buying that, get them used to the idea that it's going to be an as-is offer, unless it's something that they would have to put on the property disclosure, like a structural issue or mold or a roof that's completely falling in or an HVAC system that's not functional. They're going to not negotiate on repairs, So even on some of the things that are mandated by FHA and VA, if you can get under contract with those kinds of vehicles. So I don't mean to paint a bad picture, but you do want to, in a good way, inform your clients and have a plan for them with this in mind.
Can I add something from Zoom here?
Absolutely, Josh.
Okay, this is Josh on Zoom. So just to kind of piggyback off what you just said, and this may be a KW concept, but it goes like this: information makes people think, and emotion makes them act. So in my mind, those concepts go hand in hand, right? In order to get someone to the point of action, you have to get them to think first through this information, through market data, inventory supply, etc. So I think it's very important, especially in today's market.
Yep. And what it'll do, you're absolutely right, because when you have your conservative buyers that aren't as willing to, they may be fully qualified, they may have the cash ability to do it, like my careful cash people, but and even though I was informing them the entire time, I haven't found the way to make them act yet. I have other people that have done that. I think with them, they're just too comfortable in their rental and they're willing to wait. They're month to month, they have no really reason to make something happen. When something changes, it will for them. Whereas I have other people that are a little more strapped, but they do have a significant amount of money and they're out there beating the bushes with me. They're, telling me immediately when they want to go see something. They're much more willing. They're willing to make sacrifices on some of their wants and just get into something that works for them and their family. So you're absolutely right. This is what's going to get them in the frame of mind to understand their battle phase and what they have to do in order to succeed. And to me, it also makes us look like students of our profession. There are many agents out there who are not students of their profession, and they will just get people, to make an offer, just trust me. And there are people that are look before you leap kind of people that will do that. And then in the end, the deal ends up falling apart because the house doesn't appraise. They aren't able to come up with the additional money. So both of you have lost. They've lost that due diligence money they put in, that's $8,000 or $10,000, and that completely wipes out their cash reserve. So absolutely, we want to be good students and we want to be good teachers to our clients. Any other questions on this one? Okay, so I'm going to go back to and then go back to InfoSparks. So InfoSparks is a more interactive tool. Fast stats are more like just fast information sheets that the TMLS has already prepared for you. So with this tool, I'm going to go back. Where do I need to put you guys? Oh, there we go. So with InfoSparks, you can look at, of course, they default to the entire MLS, but you can add an area let's say I wanted to look at Johnston County. And so I would click on that, but I can put a subdivision in there.
Can I put a zip code in?
You can put a zip code in there. Yeah. The subdivisions I kind of stay away from unless it's a huge one that has lots of transactions, because what will happen is you'll get no reports for certain months that nothing closed in that subdivision. So I usually take either the county, the city, or the zip code. All right, and so you can look at all price ranges, or you can look at this home, for example, is in this 279 or more. So I'm going to look at that. You can look at all property types, but again, wanting to get close to what our clients are interested in or what we're doing the comp on to see, again, how fast the market's moving in this county. I'm going to click on be as close as possible. So I'm going to do single family. It is a resale, and we'll get into why we don't compare new construction to resale in a bit. And then the home is 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. So we can see from last year at this time, and we can actually go through and look at the actuals. So from April, actually they have May already. So May of last year, the average sales price, I'm sorry, the median. So I click down here for the median sales price. I can also click for the average. And in May of last year, the median sales price was $287,000 in Johnston County. Currently, we can see it's $320,000. So in a year, it's increased 11.5% from last April to this April. And if we wanted to, what I did last night to find the difference from when they sold their home to now, or when they bought their home to now, so I could come up with, I just went back. They bought their home in December of 2019. Johnston County was $305,000 average. Now you notice how they jump back and forth. And again, that's seasonal because the winter time, there's not as many sales and probably lower price range. So in December of 2019, the median price was $305,000. It's $320,000 today, and I can just do the difference there. The other thing to do the difference since the beginning of this year is I can take that $298, that's January, compare it to the $320 and get that increase. And then the other thing I can do is if I want to show it, if I want to print it, I just click on print. And this one's kind of cool because it really shows how prices are starting. This is Wake County. Johnston County is a little more erratic just because it's a smaller value. But you can see as of January, look at the trajectory on that increase from about 350 to 380 in the TMLS. So that can be helpful again as we're getting pricing and looking closer. You know, we can say, well, we probably should use the comps, even though I have 7 comps for this particular home or whatever you have, because you want to get, 5 to 10 sold homes. Even though it's looking like the average is around 290,000, let's just say, we may want to look and factor in and give more weight to those values that were in the first part of this year because of where the sales is going. The average or median sales price is going versus trying to average it among the last 6 months or a year, because things have really taken off this first quarter. Make sense? So I always call CMAs an art and not a science. I'm going to go through that process with you, but a lot of it is thinking through what you're seeing and analyzing that data and using, anecdotal information and talking to other agents, especially if you're not in an area where there's a lot of sales, because you really, and in this day and time, even understanding where to price things is on a listing side is very difficult. And just because of the way the market's anticipated. All right, so let me go back to the slides of the view. Okay. Also, just to tell you all, if you're not a technical person, there is great hope for you, because last year at this time, when everybody had to become Zoom, I was able to do it and and teach people on Zoom and learn the technology. So, and I've been pleasantly surprised at my transition back to command, because as I was coming into leadership, I was leaving, command was really bringing on a lot of features that I was teaching, but I never really used. And now I'm using them, and I'm really seeing the value. And I realize I'm not that old. You know, I wasn't in college when the first IBM PC, or I was in college when the first IBM PC hit Carnegie Mellon University. So, you know, that's back in the dark ages in the 80s. So, all right, so market conditions, the age of the home. So when we're looking at comps or selecting comps, do we want something that's 20 years different than the subject property, the property that we're looking at?
No.
Right. We want to get as close as possible in age as we can. If we can't, because there's no other homes in that area, like when I get out into Johnston County, into the eastern part of it, it can be a little difficult. You might have homes that are 10, 15 years difference. So you, again, that's what you would deal with in your adjustments. Okay.
But you keep, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But you keep new construction out of that. Like where I'm out in the country outside of Roseville, there's very few comparables. When they did our appraisal on my son's next door, there's nothing to compare except new construction when you go to do the appraisal. And they weren't apples and apples.
Right. So what I would suggest is you can look at those, but you're probably going to have to go further distant from the house and find something that's equal, and then adjust for, like, again, this property that I'm going to use in Johnston County, they're in eastern Johnston County, almost into Smithfield instead of Clayton. And so what I told them was that, you know, even though we're getting these prices that are well over 300,000 right now, I would suggest that we would begin at 305, because you're in the eastern part of the county and it's not as close to retail. It's not as close to, so again, that's part of the art that you would have to look at. And I've talked to appraisers about that, and they would rather get something, adjust for location, and get something similar in age and those kinds of things. But you can, you know, new construction is tough to adjust against a newer, a home that's maybe 10, 15 years older. If it's only 5 years, then you probably can use it as a guideline. Especially now where they're even competing with resale in the way that they sell their homes. But it's typically not something that you want to do, and appraisers try to stay away from it as much as they can. So the other thing going along with age is condition. And so if you're looking at a 15-year-old home, when you're looking at pricing and there's a comp that has the same square footage, the same number of bedrooms and baths, relative location, maybe in the same subdivision, you're going to look for what I call the non-sexy updates. Are there similarities or differences? In other words, have they updated their HVAC? Have they put a new roof on it versus, you know, the subject property versus the comp? And you may adjust a bit for those types of things. Again, in this market, it's not going to have as huge a factor because people are just wanting to get in a house. The cosmetics definitely aren't going to be as big an issue. It will narrow your buyer pool somewhat, or, you know, have less, but most of the buyers now, if you're educating them properly, they'll understand the importance of getting in a home and then having something to upgrade. Unless it's just been completely torn apart, it was a, you know, a meth house or something like that. Previously, they had chickens in the back room. I mean, you know, you'll have those, but for the most part, if it's got granite versus laminate, most of your buyers are going to overlook that because it might be a $1,500 to $2,000 fix versus, you know, and everything else is equal. So, neighborhood characteristics. Again, these are some things that, you know, in a typical market, buyers value more. And those are going to be things like recreational facilities, your pool, clubhouse, playgrounds. Are there HOA restrictions? See you later, Jennifer. And also HOA fees, you know, are those going to price people out of or add an additional price to their mortgage payment, which would affect their ability to qualify? So those are all things to consider and factors when you're looking at pricing. So this is just another quick document I found. It was back from 2008 when the market was starting to heat up again, but it still holds true today. With more people employed with higher wages, people have a bigger budget for homes, so demand's going up. This is just the economics of what's happening. Low interest rates, which were certainly lower than we were in 2008. More people can afford a mortgage, so demand goes up because their price is going down with the cost of housing. Financial incentives not to sell your home. There's less homes for sale. Now, right now, we don't have financial incentives, but what do we have going on right now where people are not wanting to sell their homes or they're averse to selling their homes right now? So, yeah, am I going to be homeless? Exactly. So we're now looking at things that how can we bridge that gap for people that are looking to, you know, buy and sell, be able to organize that in a timely fashion. I don't know if many of you have ever tried the Knock Home Swap program or been understanding of that. I know that it has been a great solution for some of my seller clients who wanted to purchase new construction, but new construction was not allowing contingent offers because they didn't want to risk somebody not being able to close. So what Home Swap will do is they make a backup offer on the home. It's a typical investor kind of offer, pretty low, but it figures in the ability to have a bridge loan that would allow them to make improvements to the home, actually even move into their new home if they want to, and have 6 months of mortgage payments on their own loan folded into that until their home is ready for sale. My clients just used it because they wanted to get under contract and they wanted to have an easier way of moving. So they closed a week before on their new home, got everything moved in, got their old home cleaned up, and then a week later they closed the bridge loan and were in their new home. So but the convenience fee is only 6%, which is if you look at some of the other types of homes programs, the iBuyer programs, and even Keller offers, the reduction that the investors want people to take can be 15–20% plus also repairs. So it's a good thing even for people who don't want that length of time with that bridge loan to be able to do a non-contingent offer. And it worked out great for my clients. They were real happy with it. They're still working out some of the kinks. The popularity of the program is so great that they have grown 3 times the size they were in January. So they're dealing with a little bit of training issues and those kinds of things, but we closed and it went pretty well. So that's something to think about to help your clients to be able to overcome that fear of selling and not being able to buy in this market. And then the low number of homes built since 2008. Well, we of course caught up with that a little bit until COVID hit. And now we're having that difficulty because of the cost of lumber and because of the some of the other supply chain issues that builders are having. So overall, prices are going up, and also it's becoming very painful for our clients, our buyer clients. So here's what I showed you. This is for Wake County. All right, so how to perform a CMA. Let's see what time it is. Yeah. So why don't we take a 5-minute break before we jump into this, because we're about an hour in, and we'll go through this, and then we'll maybe have a discussion at the end for a few minutes about strategies, having people as far as, you know, helping your buyers be more successful in this market. Okay, 5 minutes. So everybody come back at 2:05. I'll give you a couple extra minutes. Is this working for you guys? Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if I'm not hitting anything or.
This might help me because the client I've got in California, I don't want him to lose interest. He's got 275 for a pre-approval loan. And he wants to be in the Beltway in a 3-bedroom townhouse in Raleigh because his daughter got an apartment. I'm sending over like 4 townhouses that even met the requirement. And they were gone in 2 days. He's coming June 16th, 17th, and 18th. I tried to tell him, you know, this week, next week, we'll start looking seriously. But from 2 months, he's going, well, send me stuff. There's no point. I mean, I'll send you, I've got him on the collaborate thing every 3rd day to see what's there. I said,
But maybe he'll need some of that, like
I'm
the
hoping
Wake
there's some
County,
data
you
here
can do
with
the
them, yeah.
Raleigh from Fast Stats
Yeah.
and see how crazy, I mean, when you go back and look at, when you just look at Wake County, again, we're under half of a month.
I mean, do you remember when it was starting to tick down to like 1.9? Like, yikes.
Yeah.
And we, you know, it just kept getting worse.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Well,
so.
look at what it was even a year ago during the pandemic, it was 2.1.
Yep, and it's down 76% from last year.
I mean, this is a tough market by itself.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is ridiculous, the 0.5.
So you would go in here and you would find the Raleigh numbers.
I've got a zip code. That area I can't do the zip code. Right?
No, not in Fast Stats, but you could do it in InfoSparks. Yeah. But look at this one, like, actually, they're a little bit better than
Do they
we.
have one that's like Raleigh DT, Raleigh downtown or something?
I don't
I thought they had
know.
one that was like inside the Beltline. I could be wrong. Inside the Beltline.
Oops, wrong.
Now, Rocky Mount is a different MLS, right?
Yes.
He mentioned that he's got a relative in Rocky Mount. He might
He would,
looking in. I said, you might get something for 275.
oh yeah.
in
Oh,
Rocky
yeah.
Mount.
Nice house.
Town, he wants a town.
Actually, if he goes out towards Zebulon and toward Rocky
Wendell.
Mount,
So he originally wanted
Wendell,
like
no.
5 miles for the zip
No.
code.
Wendell, everything is
Not pricey.
over 300,000 unless you want something that's, well, we had, we went out and looked this weekend with a couple, it's out south of Wendell towards Zebulon on an acre. It listed for 284. They had 12 offers, multiple offers.
Over 3.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, she didn't say what it was, but I'm sure it sold over 3.
A 1973 3-bedroom brick home right up here for 1 acre went for $520,000. And we're talking about, you know, vinyl floors and laminate countertops and carpet and
Yep.
a carport, not a garage, yeah, a workshop out back.
I think when Apple gets here, and it's not just Apple, it's the companies that are gonna follow Apple.
Sure,
It's
the
all these
support
little
companies,
tech
yeah.
startups and stuff,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna say, well, we can't afford Silicon Valley, we can't afford Austin, let's go launch our little company in Raleigh. Because they have a labor pool of programmers there, and
Mhm.
it's just gonna, you know. In fact, I was talking with Joe Williams a week ago. So Joe is in Keller Williams. He's one of my partners in this office. He lives in Austin. And we were talking about Apple coming. And he said, if you want to see Raleigh's future, just come to Austin. I'll drive you around and show you. And what he meant was things that used to be affordable and are now through the roof.
Right.
It's just.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's
Yep.
gonna be,
My
I mean,
little-
it's good in a way, right? It's like a rising tide lifts all boats, and it's prosperity and jobs, and better than being in a city that's declining, of course, but it will create challenges for affordability.
I feel like my wife's from Roanoke Rapids, and that place with the cotton mills and all those other things,
Oh, yeah.
there's nothing there but an interstate stop now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I retired from the Navy one year. I went, there's nothing to do here, baby.
You know, somebody told me about the reason Raleigh, I'm not from North Carolina, I've never really thought about this, but the reason Raleigh isn't more like Charlotte or Atlanta or something to this day is because of how they located I-95. They moved it out east of Raleigh. And if they had, you know, if this was the intersection of 40 and 95,
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
probably be bigger than Charlotte to this day. It was just that they moved the interstate out, so it just never became like a thoroughfare. Like
Well, I can
that.
see why they did too. You wouldn't have
Well, they
wanted to route
bring
into.
some prosperity to the eastern part of the state, right? To bring,
Right.
you know,
Bring it a little
travelers
further over
through,
that way,
exactly,
yeah.
to bring travelers through and stuff like that. So they didn't put it in Raleigh for that reason.
I got 2 more minutes, but yeah. We're finally going to get to the process. I've been talking more about the thinking process and the market, the resources for data to educate. But when you look at this, it's like, in fact, Angie Cole did a 5-point overview of how to prepare as a buyer. And I was so thankful she did it, because she was just like, you got to educate your buyer. You need to understand that she's saying to buyers, you're going to be bringing $20,000-$30,000 to the table, that you're going to, and it may be that the market's not for you right now.
Right.
And it's when they see this kind of stuff, they can understand that it's not just an agent, trying to.
Market is the challenge. Market is a meeting of the mind, meeting a buyer and seller, and we don't have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not.
Nope. My clients that are moving out of the area are very happy.
Well, and it's interesting, like walk out here in the parking lot, I mean, there's the visual representation of what's going on, right? Do you remember moving into this office? We used to be here when they moved in. Okay. That skyline.
No, it was not. I remember when I first moved to the area 30 years ago, and North Hills Mall was like South Hills Mall right now.
My
Penny's was the big.
Yeah, my parents lived right down the street. My mom taught right there.
Mhm.
And this was the northern edge of Raleigh.
Yeah.
It was farm fields between here and Wake Forest, which was a tiny town, and then Virginia.
Yeah. It just shows that some of us have no vision, have no vision of where these places could go. Because when you looked at North Hills, it's like it died.
Somebody, a developer, came in and saw how to vision.
Yeah. And now, I remember when they built I guess it's where the First Citizens Bank is, the big structure that was one of the first structures here. And before that, it was the MCI Tower or the Metro. It was a telecommunications company. And they raised that building and put in this new one here. And it was only like 4 or 5 years old. I was like, why are you doing it? Yeah. It was smaller. Yeah, they just wanted.
The real estate was expensive enough. It was worth it to tear it down.
Yeah, yeah. And then they put in the other two well, the other one was.
Another one down here that's.
Yeah.
Every time I drive on the highway and I look up.
Well, they're starting to do it even further up, Wake Forest Road, that little, used to be most of it, like the kind of the dive area where they had all the industrial and car shops and things like that. Now they're starting to build hotels and stuff like that.
In 10 years, Raleigh will be unranked.
Well, it already is if you moved here in 1990.
Great. Did you find out the deadline for our vote?
I'll go ask Sharon. I'll come back.
So we didn't know
I
today.
do want to sign up. And I just keep hearing like it's just a mindset thing. It's going to get you.
It's everything. Well, I haven't taken this version, this is the whole version.
Folks on Zoom, we'll be a few more minutes. We've still got a couple laggers.
No worries.
That's fine.
Thank you.
They're gonna run it more like the old ones. We would break out in like teams, you would sit around table. And so I would say it's mindset, but it's also like script, like what to say, how to say it. It is part of your business, so it's all of it. It's not just mindset.
Yeah, and I know when I was listening to other people that had been through it before, they would say how great their business was after taking bold, and then it died down after. And I'm like, well, what is it?
You know why?
It's the
I'll tell
accountability.
you why.
Why?
Because so much of bold, the real bold, when you go, and this one's going to be structured that way. But it's you report your numbers. So you go in once a week, and you have to literally report to your team, the team captain, how many conversations you have, how many listening appointments on the buyer, how many listings you take, and they get written up to the team on a board up in front of everybody. And so we have this like focus on accountability, right? I know I have to go in and tell the team how many appointments I went on for the week. And then people get out of roles, and
That's
it's kind of
how
like,
it is done.
like military basic training or something, right? People come out of the military basic training, they're like the best shape of their life, right? And then they, take it easy a little bit. It's like that.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So what you do is coming out of it, make sure you get one or two accountability partners that you continue that with each other.
Well,
Okay.
a couple ideas. One is that it's definitely that, and two is like you have to adopt a mindset of like,
Yeah,
I'm always involved.
exactly,
My
yeah.
number's always involved. I can do that every week. The other thing you can do is usually even the old, like the live version, which will come back, I'm sure at some point, the coaches will travel again. But we usually bring it here to Triangle 2 or 3 times a year. People literally just take it. I know she got an amazing story. She was like literally homeless, living in a car, with her license. I'm trying to, she's in California. I can't think of her name right now. Somehow, I don't know how she figured out how to do it, but she got into bowl and she took bowl 3 times her first year. And now she makes like $1 million a year. It's just been like this amazing story, but she just always, she takes bowl this every time it's offered anywhere near her, because she just stays in that mindset all the time.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like that's her coaching, is just, she's always
Yeah. That's
so.
how to create that team atmosphere for us single agents.
No, it's $400, $399 one time, and we'll reimburse you half of it.
Oh.
Oh, on your first
Yeah.
transaction?
First 2 deals. We'll
Okay.
reimburse you $100 each.
I think you're thinking of group coaching with
Maps,
Maps
this
coaching.
is different.
Yeah, that's $450 a month.
I was thinking it was like $450 a month or
No.
something like that.
Yeah, they were like,
It's really $200.
Yeah.
We'll pay half and you pay half.
Yeah.
You pay it up front. We just have learned,
Yeah.
we have learned like with like the personal trainer at the gym, you know?
Okay,
I pay,
Yeah.
I have a 6 a.m. appointment,
show
I will
up,
show
I'll
up.
be there.
Okay, I have a 6 a.m. appointment, this and this. But yeah, so we pay that, you know, when you graduate and teach service. So I hope you guys will consider.
Then we just call back in the office and sign up and give us all your.
Jeremy can help you do it on your way out.
Okay, I just want to know the deadline, because it's not coming out of my. So he wanted to know, he's like, well, when's the deadline? Because you just can't wake up one morning and say, hey, pay
I'll
for
go
this.
find out. I'll do it.
Okay. So I'm gonna get started again. I'm sure Dave has maybe got a call from a
He's
client.
actually with Sharon working on locks.
Oh, okay. He's working on
He'll be
something.
on.
Oh, here he comes. Awesome. No, no problem. No problem. So, we were finding a little more out about bowls, so that was important too. So how do we perform the CMA? And like I said, the process, whether you're working with buyers or sellers, it's pretty much the same. Because what you're trying to arrive at is a value that's either a good starting point for putting it on a home on the market, or a reasonable offer for your clients to make. So first of all, you're going to do research on the details about the subject property, the property that you're looking to put an offer on. So I would pull the agent sheet off of course, you're going to have done that anyway to show them the property, and any documents that are associated with that property. Again, most of those you would have given to the client when you showed it to them. When I'm talking about the MLS documents, I'm meaning the residential property disclosure, the measurements, anything that they put up there pertaining to the particular property itself. You're going to look at the, yes, sir.
Can I interrupt? Sorry.
Yeah.
Monday at 12.
Okay,
Friday would be great. Monday, it starts Tuesday, so Monday at 12.
okay.
I'll send out. I'll do that.
Good to know.
So, so you're going to look the property disclosure to confirm the age of the major systems, again, because that's going to have possibly an impact on the property itself. You're going to note any construction concerns, like homes that were built in like the 70s and 80s and maybe into the 90s, polybutylene pipes. Is there a private road maintenance? You know, all the due diligence you need to do for your buyer to inform them of material facts. HOA fees that would impact their affordability of the home. Is there a septic? Is there a well? Those kinds of things. Or is it on county or city water and sewer? You're going to look up the property in the tax records. And again, this is part of the due diligence you would do anyway. Does everybody know how to get to the different sites on the tax records?
Go through them real quick for me.
Okay, sure. So let me get out of here. Please. All right, there we go. So all I do is I Google Wake County real estate and click on that. And typically it's the first thing that pops up. And you click on that search and you go to search real estate records. And I'm going to go ahead and put in an address that I know. And you can, and what we're going to do out there is we want to confirm that the square footage on the tax record, which for this home is 2,060 square feet, is within range, you know, plus or minus 5% of what is shown on the measurements for the listing in the MLS. Because you want to make sure it's, you know, it's within range, because otherwise it's gonna impact the value significantly, either positive or negative. If it doesn't, then you may need to do a look in the permit portal in Wake County. And again, how you can do that is just search for it. Wake County permit portal, that you can look it up by address and you can find all the information there about the permits on that home. You know, because if it doesn't show up here, if the square footage is larger than what's on the MLS, which usually isn't the case, then maybe they've permitted space that they haven't allocated in the measurements. Usually it's the other way around. And so it may be that there has been permitted square footage, but it just hasn't been updated to the tax records. I had that happen on the listing of mine, where a sunroom that was heated and cooled had not been included in the square footage, yet it was permitted. So we ended up getting that, I sent the appraiser's document to the tax, the county tax people, they updated it on there. And it was a difference of 400 square feet, which at 100 per square foot, it was really important. Now she was kind of happy because she hadn't been paying taxes on any of that for the intent, but she was fine because she was selling the property and we wanted to have that taken care of before we listed it. So those are things that you look for. The other thing you would want to look for here is in preparation for doing your comps, is that you want to look at the sales and make a print out of that, because there may be some unreported sales, like a for sale by owner or something that was a direct transfer that took place, that you may want to be aware of when you're doing your comps. It's not so much of a big deal right now, but again, if there's a for sale by owner, it's not going to show up on the MLS. It's not going to be there in those records. So you want to make sure that you're aware of other sales that have gone on that aren't on the MLS.
Is that those sales just for that one house?
For that, no, this is the sales for that neighborhood area. So this was 1504 Harmon was the subject property. And then this is another property that sold in 2019. So there's not a lot of turnover in our neighborhood. But 297.5 happened way back then. So I wouldn't really worry about it here because there's been no recent sales. But in other neighborhoods, there, you know, it turns more often. Okay, and then there was one other thing that I wanted to show you, and oh, also if you click on the map tab, one of the things you want to make sure is that the name that's on the deed and the tax record is the same one that's on the MLS. Or on the, I'm sorry, on the property disclosure, when you write up the offer to purchase. So you've got the same name on the seller. And if it's not the same, you need to talk to the listing agent. It could be that there's an executor. It could be that there's a guardian, a POA. Typically they write POA when they're signing. But if it's different than what's on the property disclosure, what's different in the MLS, I'm sorry, in the Wake County records, then you're going to want to investigate that a little bit. But
this is the Wake County, I mean, all this Wake County site, including the map showing the property owners and everything. I actually did one with one of my colleagues, and we did an open house last Saturday. And this is great stuff here, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Because these buyers are really educated right now, it seems like. They're asking the questions that you're telling me right now about sewers, septic tanks. And
sure.
Sewers, but septic tanks and wells.
Well,
property lines.
I also used to teach a class called contact to contract on basically the you know, to move through a transaction and document a transaction for both buyers and seller clients, all the way from, you know, documenting and getting your buyer's agency in order, all the way through listing and doing offers to purchase. And it was actually a 4-day, 2-hour class that we do like once a month. So every month I do a different 2 hours. And this is some of the stuff we go through is, okay, when you're looking at listing a property or you're trying to do your due diligence for a buyer, where do you find these information sources? So this is just Wake County. I love it. Other counties are starting to catch up with them with the amount of information that's available at their county sites, but Wake County has a tremendous resource. So in going to your IMAPs, you can actually turn on, I won't get into this big time, you know, ask Jennifer or Jessica to see if you want me to teach that class, because it just takes you step by step through doing a buyer transaction and doing a
Is
listing.
that still on the all access by chance where it was recorded? I thought I saw it.
It
I was
could
gonna
be
try to
on
do-
the buy-
I saw it somewhere. I don't know what it
It could be in the what's that called? The boot camp materials
was.
under
Maybe
the contact to close class. Yeah, because I did put it up there, but it may be a little dated because probably the last time I did it, not the last time I did it, but the last time I recorded it was about a year ago.
Yes.
Also, those processes, the checklist for each step should be on there as well.
And it was funny because the buyers are coming in with these same exact maps.
was. They can log in just like we can.
Oh, yeah,
So-
yeah. It's, if you're somebody who's a voyeur that wants to find out information about your neighbors or whatever, this is a great site. You can find out, you know, what it sold for last time. Like here, we can see like on different layers. And I won't spend a ton of time, but you can go down here and click on, where's it at? Yeah, no, but oh, here it is, layers. Down below, it's kind of blocking. Let me get this out of the way. You click on this and you can turn off and on certain information that's on the map. So if you want to see floodplain, so here the septic layer is turned on. So we can see that this particular lot has a septic system with no pump. It's a gravity system. And we can also turn off and on topography so that we can see how the land lays. You can, floodplains. So before you go to the flood maps, NC flood maps, to see if the property is within a flood map or risk of a flood map or flood area, you can click on floodplains and then back out. And you can see where there's a floodway. So this home is not in an area of concern, but let's say these homes here would be in that 1% annual chance of flood. So they'll probably require flood insurance. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can get off of the Wake County site that will help you research the property, because your clients are going to want to know that. The listing agent should indicate that if it's in a floodplain, but they may not. They may not know, they may not have researched it well enough. So it's your job to go in and make sure that it's not a concern. And then if you see something and it's really close, like, oops, this house here, you might want to, you know, then go to the NC flood maps where you can get a more detailed report, or call an insurance agent to see if that's something that would be of concern. So back to the presentation. Let me get my bar over here and view. All right. So we're going to start. Let me go back, make sure I covered all these. Okay. You're going to look for any permits for added square footage out there on the permit portal. You're going to think about any location or zoning issues. So in South Wake right now, we have a major concern that is hitting some neighborhoods down in that area. Can anybody tell me what that is? It's actually South Wake all the way up to East Wake and Wendell. Something we've been waiting for over 30 years.
540.
Mark Stewart. See there?
Yes.
What would be a major concern of homes located in the South Raleigh area, right around, let's say 1010 or 401?
What, 540?
540, yeah. So they're in the process of putting in 540.
Yeah.
And so that's something that you need to see if that is something that's within that range. And there is, if you go out to, it's called Complete 540, you just Google it, and it's the North Carolina Department of Transportation. And you can actually get maps that you can drill down into effective neighborhoods and things like that. But that might impact if a house isn't selling in that area, that might be the reason why. And it's beginning to be a concern on the east side going through Garner and up through Nightdale because they finalized those plans as well. Sorry to put you on the spot, Mark, but
Okay.
I know you've been around for a while.
Also a problem in Holly Springs and Fuquay-Varina too now.
Oh, really? For
Yeah.
55 and?
Well, if you go down to Fuquay-Varina, Holly Springs, the 540 is about 2 miles lower.
Yep.
It connects to 1 as it's going down that way.
Yep.
And it's cutting back up through Holly Springs. So
Yep.
you got to make sure if you're selling something around that area that you look up the 542.
Yeah, that little area of Sunset
Bluffs.
Hills, and yeah, and
I have a listing out there.
Oh, really?
Going active tomorrow. If anybody needs it, 600.
Yeah, I mean, also Arbor Creek, and then there's that really big neighborhood, Wood Creek, yeah.
It had all the golf courses, and now it's going to be a park.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on down in that area. And then also with all of the fill-in feeder roads associated with that too. So it's good to check out the DOT, and not a lot of listing agents are, putting at least that link in the agent notes to let you know. So again, you can't assume, this is a buyer beware state. So you can't assume that the listing agent has done all your work for you. Some of them do, they do a great job, but you have to verify everything and look into those things. So how to perform a CMA. First of all, you start with a quick search of TMLS to find comparative sales around the particular home that your client's interested in. We're going to look for these statuses: active and coming soon. That's for current pricing and other available choices for the buyer. Basically, for the listing agent, it's your competition. It's also giving you an idea of where the pricing is going. You're going to look at pending sales to evaluate the current pricing and pay attention to the days on market. If it went under contract quickly, most likely the offer price was more than the asking price. I'm seeing a lot of 0 days on market out there. Why is that happening?
Unseen offers.
Sight unseen offers, right. I've had 2 listings under $300,000, one in Johnston County, one in Wake Forest. They both went sight unseen, multiple offers, cash offers, and at least 20,000 over asking. And it wasn't because I priced it low. It's just the buyer pool at that time. I'm calling it desperation, the desperation value. Okay. Go ahead, Mark.
As I say, I've had 3 calls on unseen offers for the $600,000 house in Fuquay.
I remember the day a year ago that there weren't $600,000 homes in Fuquay.
I sold this house for $398 2 years ago.
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Comping out at 600.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at my little listing that's coming on. I think in Johnston County will be probably close to $75,000 over what it sold for in, well, maybe even 80, that what it sold for in December of 2019. So it is absolutely nuts out there. And so that's why, you price it aggressively, but it's still depending upon the day and the market, the buyer pool, it can still go higher. And that's why I also do coming soon for about a week, because I want to get that pool of buyers looking at it ahead of time and give my seller lots of different options so that when it goes on the market, a lot of times we'll already have an offer in hand, or we have, people that just want to, tick it off before they make their offer. So, okay. You also want to look at closed. Now, this used to be 6 months to a year. I'm still saying look out that far because there may be some seasonality in the picture that you want to see in that year. But typically you want to look at more weight to the recently closed sales, 3 months or less. And you could see that in that graph that I showed you, why we want to do that. Since the beginning of this year, it's really been increasing, almost compounding the rate of increase. So we want to look at how quickly that price is increasing. Listing to sales price will also help you with that. So when you're looking at your comps, a year ago, we were looking at 97 to 98% of listing price. Now, would you take a gander on what that statistic is this year?
120%.
Well, in some areas, it could be 20% over asking, but I've been seeing in just, in general, it's at least 3 to 4%. But in reviewing some of the other agents that have been doing some market reports in like North Raleigh and those areas, it's 10 to 15%. Are you seeing the same thing, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lost 2 sales this week and we went 20% over and we still lost.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how bad is it for the new buyers, first time buyers, VA loan buyers? FHA
Chuckling. Don't hear some chuckling over there. It's not easy because the cash buyers or people with conventional that are putting significant amounts down and can make up that difference between the 3%, because typically people who can't do conventional don't have a lot of money to put down. So it is very hard. I've seen more luck with my buyers in that situation going with new construction. But again, that's not really the current last couple of months. This was the end of last year. Mark, anybody else have any input on that have been struggling out there with buyers on those types of financing?
Well, and all of the 2 that I did had the appraisal waived, which meant they would have to come up with an additional 30 or 40K, and no repairs to be made.
Right.
And the seller's agent sent that to me right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of them are referencing the appraisal addendum. I have not seen as much, but again, I've got 2 buyers that are looking right now, and I assume that the no repairs will be, because our contract is an as-is type of offer. Now, I did have on one of my listings, we had a significant issue with the HVAC system that was revealed during inspections. Oops. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Guys still there?
Yeah.
I am.
Oh no. Did the power completely go off?
Something went flicker.
No, mine flickered.
Oh, there, we're back.
We can hear y'all.
Let me see about, whoops. It seems like it's going back and forth.
Looks like the screen's off of the light in the left corner.
Okay.
Maybe it's,
Yeah. Well, now I'm hearing it click again.
well, your light went away, so maybe coming back. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Its power is flickering again. What is Kayla doing here? She back?
The overhead lights. Well,
That is weird. Let me go and see. Let me check with Jeremy and see if he can help out with this. Oh, there we go again.
Oh, the elevator,
okay. So
Oh,
the whole
okay, so we're
building-
having a power thing.
No,
Let me
The
have,
phones, I guess, starting to come through, baby.
let me have. What's the new lady's name? Taylor. I was going through every T that I knew. Let me see if she can send a message out via Facebook real quick to say we're having some power issues. But it's funny, these lights are not flickering.
Yeah, man, we can hear you just fine.
Oh, there we go. You can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you and
We
see
can
you.
see you.
Oh, okay, great. Let me make sure that this is, okay, dude.
You probably just can't see us.
Yeah, well, I don't just
You won't have
can't.
a screen either, so.
Can you see my screen?
Yep, yeah, we can see
Yep.
the screen. The slide's still up.
Okay, so the computer's working, but this isn't working for you guys. Let's see if I can get this going. Oh, I know.
What area is wrong?
I'm in West Cary.
Not too far from you, I'm right down 96. And right at 401. Come out Roseville, 401, go right at 96.
Okay.
But 9 miles of that is proper.
Okay, let me see. We're working on the screen.
On the country, a lot of stuff there, but we built, there's nothing very crazy, it's nothing very, so a development that come up 5 years ago.
There we go. All right.
I'm into the area, so I'm learning.
Now let me see if I can get
this computer running.
Yeah. You asking about next view of Rocky Mountain?
Can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, I think we
RC.
lost him.
Yeah, well, we're all together. We're here.
We're still available.
It said she switched it to, she was the host. Yeah. It says Lorenzo's speaking on my computer.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. You can talk all you want to. I'm sitting here doing CMAs for houses I'm showing and trying to prove to them why it's 30,000 more above the price that they're going to have to offer.
Mm.
And for a 23-year-old, they don't have it.
Yeah. My clients, we've been putting offers in, man. We've been getting beat out by like $35,000.
We offered 10,000 due diligence last time, but we just,
Yeah, we got beat out by somebody that offered 15K due diligence, and then they waived the appraisal.
oh yeah.
You can't compete with that.
No.
Yeah, you can't compete with that. They may just need to start over again.
Yeah, I think they're reconnecting.
there we go.
All righty.
Same thing.
They're back.
We are back. We had a little power glitch here. And it was weird because it was only affecting certain outlets. So anyway, that's why we had to go in for the cavalry. So thankfully Taylor helped us out. So let me get back my presentations. And we can get back to, you can tell what my big planning and stuff was earlier. My daughter got married in February. All right, so. Okay. So let me go back to Zoom and I'm going to share the screen. And okay, perfect. All right, just stop me if you can't see it. And it's still loading. There we go. So you're also going to, once we get, in addition to choosing those different statuses, you're also going to go from the narrowest to the broadest range of location. So if you can, you want to start in the subdivision, but most likely you're going to have to move further back to either a zip code. And I'm going to show you later how we work through that when I get into the MLS. So subdivision, zip code, or a map search using the polygon tool. And that's typically what I use. I'll show you that in just a second. All right, so let me get out of here, but these are the search to, you want to narrow them to the most similar homes that you can get in terms of the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the lot size. You want to be, you want the same type of property. So if it is a manufactured home, you only want to look at manufactured homes. If it is an attached home, like a townhome, you only want to look at townhomes to compare it to, because there are major differences between that and a detached or single family home. You want to look at a size of plus or minus 10% square footage of the subject property if possible. So if it's 2,000 square feet, you kind of want to look between 1,800 and 2,200 if you can get a good number, again, 7 to 10 comps of closed sales within that range. Number of garage bays, the lot size and acreage. So if the home is 3/4 of an acre, you don't want to be looking at homes that are cottage homes on 0.12 or smaller. And then you want to look at similar age, like we talked about earlier. You want to weed out much older or newer homes, and don't include new construction unless the home is, the subject property is 1 to 2 years older than the new construction. So I just had a listing that went under contract, and I looked at new construction because the home was sold in the end of 2019. So it was 1.5 years old. So I figured I would save in using new construction because, it's almost got the same features as every new construction home. In fact, it was still under builder warranty. So, all right. All right, so let me go back and I'm going to go into Paragon. Ooh. This is moving kind of strangely. Now, there's a couple of tools that you can use in Paragon or that we get free from our Triangle MLS to build a CMA. For a buyer CMA, I don't do a formal package, CMA package. Instead, I use a spreadsheet. And if you look at it in the view of your comps, I'll show you when we get there, but it kind of looks like this. And it's called the CMA summary. And really what it does is it just gives you the address of the property, bedroom, bath, what it listed for, what it sold for, and days on market, so that you can do a high level. And then I also send the results of that search that I've done when I've narrowed it down to my clients so they can see the individual MLS sheets. When I'm doing a formal CMA for a listing, you can use the CMA tool, and it allows you to create a presentation, select your comps, and I have a copy of those here, and I believe that Taylor shared them with you folks. But it just provides you with a much cleaner, more professional look for your listing clients, because you're going to be discussing this with them. It's kind of their first impression with you. Whereas you already have a relationship with your buyer clients when you're getting to the point of making an offer. And usually it's just something you send them through email so they can look it over before you have an in-person or on the phone discussion in preparation for making an offer. So I'll pass these out. Actually, Jack, thank you. But this, I just did a quick one for my clients that are thinking of listing their property and sent it over to them. But you could do something formal like this as well. But usually when you're making a buyer offer, you're trying to get it done quickly. So I do a quick and dirty, give them the information that's provided there, give them the spreadsheet, and then we talk it through and come up with a price. So how I do that is I go to search, and we're going to do a residential search. Have any of you played around with this in the TM? Okay. So first I'm going to do is I'm going to clear everything. Well, actually, I don't want to do that. So again, status that I'm going to be looking for are active, coming soon, all the pending, and closed. And once I'm also going to start looking on the closing date a year from today. Oops. Year back from today. Okay. And I'll narrow it as we go. If it's looking like I want to look at 6 months because I'm getting 50 different comps, then we'll do that. So my client's home that I just did that CMA for, they're in Clayton. So I'm going to put 27520. And their square footage on their home was 2,333 square feet. So I'm going to do the search from, I went down a little bit, 1,800 to 2,500. You could also do 2,000 to 2,500 if you want, because we're going to continue to narrow that. So actually, let's do 2,000 to 2,500. Okay, so we've got 318 homes that have met that criteria already. Now I want to do 3 bedrooms, and I'm also going to do, I'm going to leave this open-ended because I know that in some of the areas of Johnston County, like this particular home, they actually have 4 bedrooms plus a bonus. Their second floor is divided. But the issue is their septic permit will only allow them to have 3 bedrooms. So if I put 4 bedrooms there, I would be negating some of the other homes like this home. So I'm going to leave it at 3. And maybe to narrow it a little bit, I might just put 4 here as the maximum. Okay, a little bit. Also, this home is a ranch. The master is on the 1st floor. One of the things that we find is that with ranch homes or 1.5-story homes, they tend to price a little bit higher than a 2-story. the building cost, the footprint's larger, the building cost is a little bit more. So I'm going to put in here that yes, there's a first floor master bedroom. All right, so now I've dropped that to 141. So that helped me out a lot. This house also has 3 full baths. It has 2 on the first floor, 1 on the second floor, which is unusual. So I'm going to see if that drops it down a little bit, because baths are worth something. Full baths versus half baths. So that dropped it to 58. The other thing is I want to put in the construction type, because if I didn't, I might get some, homes that really weren't the same as this home. So if you ever have a question about what you can put into a field, you can just click on that little magnifying glass. So I want to do a site-built home. I don't want a modular. I don't want a manufactured. That dropped it down. And also I want to change the property type to a detached. Okay, that didn't lower it much. New construction, it's not by any means. Okay, that's got me down to 28. It's looking good. And then the approximate acres, I'm going to do a ½ an acre to 1 acre, because this home's 0.69 acres. Because if I put all the, if I left it open, this will narrow it a little bit more for me. But I don't want ones that have 10 acres in there either, because that's going to mess up the values. So let's put 1 in. So I've got 14. That's pretty good. This home also has a fireplace. So let's see if that, I probably am good. Let me just look at those 14. So if I click on search, this is going to give me all of the homes that have either closed in the last year. I'm going to move you guys up a little bit. Or down maybe. Okay. That have closed in the last year, that are between 2,000 and 2,500 square feet. And it's going to show me not only closed, they're going to show me coming soon. And it's going to show me ones that are currently contingent. And this is all in 27520. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, hopefully it'll let me do this. Go to reports, and I want to click the Google map, because I want to see where these homes are in relation to my property. Because I may want to do, and I'm going to show you how to do this. I may want to do a polygon map search, which will, outline the area closest to my client and my subject property to get the pricing of homes closest. So let me look at Google Map. And so this home is located right, Little Creek. Stone Bridge is up here a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. All right. So it's right. Where is it? Oh, Reader Branch. So it's located right here. So as I come out, I'm going to want to get to homes that are closest to this area. So most likely this home, these 4 homes here and this home here are going to be the ones I want to look for. So I'm going to go back to the criteria, and I'm going to click on the map search. And I want to center the map. Oh, actually it already has done that for me. Thank you. But you can put the address in there and center the map if you want to. But I've got a pretty good idea of where this is. So I want to draw, go over here to the drop down draw, and click polygon. And then I can outline just the homes that I want to show up that are close by this home. So I'll probably include just, okay, come on. There we go. I click on it, and then I'm probably going to want to just include, all right. There we go. These homes right here. Now, the other thing I'm noticing is I also may want to add Clayton instead of 27520. And the reason is that some of these homes with Clayton addresses are actually over closer to Smithfield and Selma, which I may want to incorporate in because this home is in Eastern Johnston County. So, but I'm not going to take the time to do that now, but if I wanted to, I just go back to the criteria and switch out the zip to Johnston County, you know, the total of Johnston County. I'll get more results that way, but they may be closer in. But let's go. So you can notice that they've saved that polygon, and now I have 5 houses that are part of those comps.
How did you say that, Wendy? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, because when I was in the map,
Yep.
I finished the polygon,
Yep.
and it saved it.
It does it automatically.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does it automatically. Then I want to run the search because that's going to give me the spreadsheet that shows me these individual comps. There we go. Because they're kind of hard to view when you click on them on the map. So then I just start going through these homes. Now, let me do a real quick search to show you what the subject property looked like in 2019, because that's something you're going to do in preparation. You'll have the actual MLS sheet, but with this one, because it's not listed, we need to find the old one. When you're doing a listing, price comp for a listing, that you are going to pull the old MLS sheet. So it's 289 Reader Branch. And so, and we want to just look at the pictures of the property. Of course, you've been through it with your client. And just note, you know, it's got granite countertops. It's got a gas stove. Looks like it's been pretty nicely painted, which it was. The bathroom really the master bath hasn't been upgraded, but it's, you know, in good condition. And in this market, that's what people are going to be looking for. And then it has this wonderful red bonus room, which they've painted already. And this is the upstairs bath. And it's got a wonderful backyard with a deck, pergola. It's got a detached garage with a workshop, and then they have a above ground pool. So all in all, a really cute, well-kept home in Eastern Johnston County. Okay, let me drop you guys down. So when we're looking at our search, so here's the first comp. It closed in last year in June. So we're probably not going to give a lot of value to this price. And if you go back and look at the default grid, which is the spreadsheet, you'll notice that it priced quite a bit lower than the other homes that sold within this range. So the other thing too is it's been on the days on market quite a bit longer. And again, last year at this time, this wasn't as popular an area to purchase. Whereas as we've gotten closer, this under contract home that went under contract in September of last year was on the market for 4 days. This other one was 17 days, which is about average right now of it's a little bit longer than right now. So, but you can see that the prices have been inching up into this current year. So, so I'm just going to look at each of these ones. So this one has, and the other thing I'm going to look at is if there are any features that have been upgraded, like they've noted that the roof and those kinds of things. Now, to me, again, I'm not speaking badly, but when I look at this, the agent really hasn't done the listing agent hasn't done their best. This should be completely filled out. which may contribute to the reason why this was on the market for 45 days. So the buyer's agent and the client has to do a lot more work. So what you have to do is, and of course you would confirm this if you're making an offer on it, you look at the documents and you need to see the property disclosure and see how old some of those items are. Let's see here. Oh, I can see why. I bet this is, okay. It's open door. That explains a lot. So, so they don't, everything is no representation. So you don't know. And that's why it was on the market for such a long time, because they don't give you a lot of details because the home's been purchased by open door. They do have the measurements there for you to see. So this one may be priced a bit lower, one, because it was almost a year ago, but two, because it was an open door property.
What's open door? I'm sorry.
Open door is an iBuyer program. They buy the home from the seller and then they resell it. And they're not always the most responsive when buyer's agents are working with them. They actually work with both agents, and buyers can actually show themselves the property if they want to through an app. But they're not as accessible as a listing agent with a firm that's here locally. And I mean, they are local, but at the same time, they have a lot of homes that are on the market at once. And I just haven't found them to be as responsive as other agents. Okay, so here's Bayliner Court, and it's located fairly close because we already did that. In fact, it's probably about 3 or 4 miles from this home. It's half an acre, 2,300 square feet. So it's really close in size. And it's got a bonus room and a bedroom on the second floor, which is very similar to the subject property. It does have an annual HOA fee, whereas the subject property does not. They have restrictive covenants, but they don't have an HOA. And both of them, this one has county water and septic, and I believe it's the same as the other home. So a lot of similarities. They have not disclosed if the age of the roof or of the HVAC system. So I do a little research on that property disclosure to see if it's actually the original, which could be the case because the home was built in 2006, which is very similar to the subject property. So this one might be a good comp. The only thing is it's about a year old. So we definitely want to use, if we had to use this one, we would have to go back to InfoSparks and maybe adjust the property and make an adjustment based upon the rise in sales price.
Whatever percentage in rise was over.
Exactly, over the last year. So we might want to add a 10% to it if that's what it's showing us. Or maybe more, since we're dealing with in the last 3 months, it's increased 8%. So here's another one. This is in Somerset Place. It closed in August of last year. And it looks fairly similar in size. It's about less than 100 square feet difference, same approximate acres. This one though looks like from just looking at the picture of the front of it. What are your thoughts just in general about this property?
Is it a manufactured or a modular?
Looks like a duplex.
It's actually, let me go through the pictures a little bit better to give you a better look. So would you say that the finishes and the construction on this home are equal to, better than, less than the other home?
I would think so. It looks nice on the outside, but the inside of the other one.
Well, one thing is this one has a screen porch, which would need to be adjusted for. And I believe the subject home has vinyl siding. This one has, let me see, exterior. Oh, this is vinyl as well. The big old front porch is usually a preferable kind of thing to just a plain, smaller front porch. And this one also has an unfinished attic space. And again, you can't count that in the square footage, but it would add value as walk-in storage or finishable storage. So this home, it does have an annual $135 HOA. So, this home would be another probably fairly good comp. I would probably rate it, depending upon whether the roof was new or not, I might rate it a little superior. And actually, I'm familiar with this neighborhood, and the neighborhood's actually, it's a little further west, closer to the Cleveland area of Clayton, which is closer to retail and things like that. So a lot of this, you're bringing in your knowledge of the market and the location of these. So I would probably rate this as a superior over the other. So I think on the comps that you'll see, I made an adjustment of, I think, an additional 5,000 over the 15,000 that I made for this, for the screen porch. And again, I might've gone a little high on that screen porch, but, so let's see, Princess Anne Court. So this home, actually, I probably need to take out. It was built in 2020. So it's fairly new compared to this home. So I probably want to take this one out. And then here's another one in Somerset Place, Contender, almost the same size, but it does have an unfinished square footage that could be used for storage. Has a screened-in porch, pavers, really nice big front porch. Lot slopes off a bit. So again, I made some adjustments to this one for the screen porch. So I subtracted value off of the projected value of the subject property because it didn't have a screen porch. And again, Somerset Farm is in an HOA, so the homes are a lot more similar in style and in upkeep than the neighborhood that my client's home is in. So those are all things you'll know as you go through it, and that's why you'll price it differently perhaps, or make some adjustments in your final range. But let's say I said, all this looks really good and I'm going to use all these homes. So what I'll do is I'll send an email to my clients, and you just click on email. I want to include all the listings, those 5, and I want to send the buyer full sheet information to them. And then also I want to add the CMA summary spreadsheet. And just click add there, click on it, and then click compose email. I would put in their email address, and then I would just type them, in the subject, I'd put comps for 289 Reader Branch, and then just type in and say, hey, here are the comps I put together. You can look at the individual MLS sheets by clicking on the MLS number. And I can actually, let's go there. No, let me see. You typically will let me go there. Here we go. So when they click on the link and they receive it, they'll get this information. So they can look through each MLS number for the comps. And then also, if they click on this drop-down box, they can look at the CMA summary. And that gives us a base to talk through the information so that we can have a discussion about what the offer price is going to be. Now, again, as I and lots of other, your BICs will tell you, you never give them an exact price. You always give them a range because it's their decision to make based upon the information that you provide to them. So for example, one of the things we look in the statistics is that we're going to look at the sales price per square foot, and we're going to apply that. If you'll look in this, in the CMA that I did, we're going to adjust using that comparable report or spreadsheet that we've developed. We're going to adjust the pricing based upon the square footage difference. And so, for example, for this one on 663 contender, I adjusted the square footage by $10,624. And how I did that is the price per square foot of that home that it sold at was $126.67. And I subtracted the square footage of the subject home from this particular square footage, multiply it, let's say it was 100, and we multiply that to get that figure of 10,624. So because the subject property was larger than this property, we adjusted up the adjusted price by $10,000 to account for that. But then I also took away $15,000 for the screened-in porch in the back. And that gives me the adjusted price of $280. You see that on this comparable report? All right, so that's some of the things that you might do on this one. You might scratch that all in writing and talk with your clients about it, or send them a summary email. So my adjusted range, once I figured all that out, was in like the 290s to 315, based upon the adjustments of all of these different comps. So, but the two homes that had sold most recently were well into the 300s. So that's what I told my clients and what I would expect their offer price to be, in the low 300s, not the 280s to I think it was 325 was the total range. So I told them I felt that the home should price and close somewhere in the low 300s. And so that's when we start talking about the differences. One of the things I would say also is that because you guys are in Eastern Johnston County, and these two homes that were the ones that closed soonest are in closer to Cleveland, I'd probably reduce that offer price a little bit, given the fact that you're closer to Smithfield and Selma than you are to Clayton. So that's kind of the back and forth discussion that you go through with your clients. I like this CMA report. I actually haven't used it much, but I've used it recently. And I do like it because it takes you through all of those adjustments as you're going through it, where you can actually put it in and it puts it in a nice little spreadsheet for you. There are lots of, I didn't include all of the different reports that you can include. You just tick on the box if you wanted to do. They have a horizontal comparison where instead of it being this way, it would be up and down in columns. And so you can look at it across the page. You would just click on that report that you wanted, which would be the vertical instead of the horizontal, or you could put both in there. There's some graphs that you can put in. I just wanted to keep it simple for these folks because we were in initial discussions, and also for you guys. But and you can do all of that in, let me cancel out of here, this CMA, and you just use the create presentation and then go through it. And also to set it all up and put in all of this, your name and all that stuff, you use the CMA preferences wizard to do that. And it'll step you through every report and how you want it to look. And then when you do your own CMA, create a presentation, it'll take you through editing that, putting the comps in, doing a residential search just like I did. So it's a very, it's a really cool tool. The other tool that some agents use is rpr.com. Yeah, and it's very nice as well. It's got a very similar interface and wizard. And it's free. It's part of, I think, the North Carolina Association of Realtors or Raleigh Regional. So both of them do the same thing. The other thing you could do is print out this information, and also you can put some of this stuff in for listings in the listing presentation in Command. You can copy and paste the pictures in, you can put the values in. So you could do that as well. And it's a really slick looking presentation because it doesn't just bring in this, it brings in, full color pictures, and you can it drops your biography in there from your profile and everything. So on the listing side, you definitely, it's a nice thing to bring with you. So any questions at this point? I know we kind of rushed through it because of our little break there. But has this been helpful?
Typically, how many comps do you normally use?
I typically try to get 5 to 7 sold. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. You also want to have, if possible, 1 or 2 pending. I don't use those in the CMA, but I may include them to just, especially right now, because if you're looking at a home, like, trying to see, I don't think the pending one is showing up here, but there was a pending one in this neighborhood that just went under contract and it went in 0 days. And so what I can use that as is it probably went for over asking, and it probably, you know, just knowing the way things are going, this may be the price that is aiming for, so we can even extend, you know, what your offer price would be. Because what we're also trying to do is we're trying to be in line with appraisals, because most of the buyer, the sellers, as Mark had said and Jennifer said, are wanting you to not to put the appraisal addendum in place, where basically you as a buyer are going to make up the difference between a low appraisal and the contract sales price. So you want to, you know, you want to be able to predict with your client and say, you know, if they're sensitive and they only have so much of a little nest egg, that if that home is, you know, going to be way out of their price range and they won't have the cash to bring to the table, maybe it's best to leave that one, look for one that's smaller or further out, that they can take that hit and not end up not being able to close and losing their due diligence money. That's another thing in the factor, due diligence money. Be prepared that they have that. It's another reason maybe new construction works better for some people, because at least until recently, the standard deposit is a certain percentage that you can count on, or a certain amount. Plus, although we always recommend that they do inspections, with new construction, they don't have to spend as much money on inspections if they choose not to, and wait until 10 months in on the home warranty, the builder warranty, to do their inspection at that point. They would just do their radon inspection, which reduces their cost quite a bit. So they can save their pennies there. But yeah, that's definitely, you know, what we're trying to make sure we're within range on. Now, a lot of the lenders are, you know, maybe not $20,000 or 10 to 20% above listing price, but a lot of them are being more flexible because they see what's happening with the market, and they're trying to go where the puck is going more conservatively, but they're still realizing that that's an important factor right now in this market.
So it's best for new buyers and VA buyers to go new construction?
I would say that would be a better hope, unless they can, you know, they have some money. Like I have a VA buyer right now who she's really just viewing it to get qualified for the home, because once she sells her home, she's going to put a lot of cash down. So she's going to be a conventional, and she may even be a cash buyer depending on what we get out of our home. So, but she still went under contract with a VA with a new construction, and there was no problem. So there's less of an issue there if you can find it.
Right.
I've even had clients that have the North Carolina Home Finance Agency grants. Again, this was last year and the beginning of this year, that they've been able to go under contract on new construction. But again, it's out in Zebulon, or, you know, it's further out, Harnett County, where the neighborhoods aren't as in demand. Now, that being said, the neighborhoods that we were looking in now have completely sold out and won't be opening new phases until the fall of this year. So you just have to keep on track with some of those lower end builders and what they're doing. You can make it happen though. A lot of it is just informing your clients about what they can do, and you know, and being honest with them about where they're at so that they can make informed decisions.
It's kind of discouraging to new agents.
Go after listings. you know, people that you know, people in your network that are looking to sell, knock on some doors. You know, build your confidence up by taking bold, getting practice with scripts. Listings right now are, other than managing the whole offer process, they are super easy. I have not had to do, I mean, honestly, I wish I could wait to do photography until we've done coming soon, because I mean, I've not had to spend money on time on open houses and things like that, because my last two, and I don't, you know, I don't go into it with that I'm not going to do those things. I do my full marketing if the client wants me to. But most of them, when they go under contract early, they don't want you to do any of the other stuff. They don't want it promoted. They don't want people knocking on their doors. So anything else? Any other questions?
Appreciate it. It's a lot to absorb.
Yeah, and maybe we can look at, you know, revisiting doing some of the contact to close classes.
Yeah.
Just so we get some discussion going on some of these items, you know, what a closing coordinator does. And if you're somebody, you know, and as an agent, you should understand that flow, even if you hire somebody from, you know, as a closing coordinator early on in your business, and choose to leverage, because you want to be able to direct them and how you want your customer service to operate. So let me see who's on here from let me stop my sharing. All right, so I don't think, is Juliet still out there? Well, I guess I would give, and Mark's not out there. So I'm going to give Josh, you've been participating probably more than anybody else. So I'll make sure that I leave a Starbucks gift card for you at the front desk.
That's very kind.
You're welcome.
And I appreciate your time as well today.
Oh, no problem. It's been fun. It's been fun. And if anybody has any questions, just give me a call. You can get my number from Taylor at the front desk. All right. Take care. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let me get out of here. And